Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Inside the Investigation. Last week, we spoke with James City County in one of their cold cases, Lois West. By the way, we introduced these to you. These are the 1-888 Lock You Up Crime Line cold case cards, and they have 52 of them. And we are going to introduce you to Steve Humphreys, and he is going to be introducing us to the case involving the King of Spades, Harrison Gay. Here they are. So these are the two from James City County. Steve Humphreys, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. He is the James City County Assistant Chief.
Well, thanks for having me.
What do you want to say about these cards? The story was told last week on they give them out in the jail.
Yeah, they were giving them out in the jails, hoping to generate any information on any of these cold cases throughout the peninsula. So, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming in. Steve, thank you for those. And we will work our way through the deck, so to speak. Tell me about Richard Harrison Gay. What happened to him on December 21st, 2004?
So we received a call in the Stonehouse subdivision, new construction home.
These are very nice homes.
They are. At that time, Stonehouse was in its infancy of being built. It was a new subdivision, new neighborhood.
Where is it located?
It's in the upper end of James City County in the Toano area.
Toano. Okay. And then what is this?
That is the, obviously the house hadn't been finished being built, so that's a plank going into the front of the house.
And then this.
Yep, that is some blood that was found in front of the house as well, to the left, I believe, of that plank walking into the front of the home.
An evidence marker.
An evidence marker, yeah.
That's a shell.
Pardon?
What is it?
That's just marking the evidence that there's droplets of blood there or pools of blood. So,
Cause of death?
well, we're unsure because he did not die because of at this time.
Okay.
This was considered an aggravated assault honestly at the time, until some more investigation had been done. It was written up as a suspicious incident because we weren't exactly sure what happened. I was a first responding officer on the scene, found him in his truck. He was very incoherent. He did say two male subjects. That was the only thing that I could make out that evening. His son found him in the truck.
And those were his last words?
Well, I think he had some words maybe at the hospital, but again, they're probably the last words that were coherent. And even those words were very difficult to understand, but you could make them out.
And he had severe brain damage from an apparent attack with a blunt object.
Yes.
And the evidence on scene suggested what?
Well, once it was investigated some more, we found a board that had some blood on it. And just piecing it together through the investigation, we feel like that's what struck Mr. Gay. We did not feel like he had fallen. The previous picture had pictures of the plank going into the home. From everything that we've learned, Mr. Gay was very safety conscious, would not walk up those planks. His son said whenever he went into those homes, he always went through the garage or the back door. So between finding that board and the statements that he made about two subjects, we do feel like, someone did this to him.
Right. And he died on which day?
He died in 2010 in North Carolina.
Right. So he lived this whole time. So was his death in 2010 caused by what happened to him in 2004?
We're unsure. We're looking into that to see if they did an autopsy when he died. That would better answer those questions for us.
Right. This is kind of like an interesting one because it wasn't it wasn't ruled. It was the official ruling of the case was aggravated assault, not homicide, not a
Right.
homicide,
Correct.
not malicious wound killing or anything like that.
Right.
So that's interesting. So what was the complication between what happened in the attack and then his eventual death? Was he not able to help you with the investigation? What was he telling you?
Unfortunately, he wasn't able to help from that. It was not, I wouldn't say a vegetative state, but he could not communicate with us. He spent a lot of time in and out of the hospitals and rehabs, being taken care of. It's my understanding that, he would spend some time at home and family would be taking care of him, but then he would have to go to the hospital for a while.
Right. And then what was there any suspect at all?
Well, we looked at the wife. There's a contractor that lived with them, so he wouldn't have to travel back and forth to Virginia Beach. There were some questions about if there was a relationship between the wife and the contractor.
And we'll get into that in our second part of this. But is there anything in his last words? I mean, those were the last words he spoke, and
That we're aware of, yes, sir.
yeah, and there were no other words spoken, like between father and son.
He had
Has
mentioned
the son been
yeah.
helpful in the investigation?
Well, his son at the time was 14. So he had mentioned something to his son, a name. And then when I asked the wife about the name, she had mentioned that when he worked for the railroad, that was the only thing. That was the only name that she recognized.
And what did he do for the railroad?
He was a conductor.
He was a conductor, and he was a conductor for the Ringling Brothers Circus Train and the infamous Orange Blossom Special. Is that?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, coming up in our next segment, we're talking about, and the assistant chief brought it up, a love triangle, and we'll have that part of the story coming up right after this.
757 homeowners and business owners. A1 American is your seasonal comfort hero, bringing you same-day ice-cold AC and perfect plumbing. A1 American will rescue leaky toilets, faucets, dripping shower heads, water heaters, and slow drains now. We keep your air conditioning running efficiently in the hot days ahead. Same-day service. Schedule your air conditioning and plumbing repairs today. Call before noon Monday through Friday and save $100.
We're not just A1, we're A1 American. Call us today.
And welcome back, everyone, to Inside the Investigation, continuing our look at the death of Richard Gay. He was attacked, to bring you up to speed, December 21st, 2004, but he would not die from that attack. He would die years later in 2010. And joining me is the Assistant Chief again, James City County, Steve Humphreys, first person on scene in this particular case. Mm-hmm. Now, he was attacked outside the home.
Based on the evidence that we have, yes.
And you believe with this?
That is our belief, yes.
This is the weapon right here. Now, he was asked to go to the home to check on it by the contractor. Fill that in again to get us into this next segment.
He was. Mr. Gay being at the home was not unusual because the contractor had asked him to go to homes to turn on the heat. It was December. These were new construction homes. So Mr. Gay was asked to go turn on the heat so pipes wouldn't freeze. And we did notice that the heat was on in that home.
Okay.
When we got there.
So he had already turned it on, or was it already on?
Well, we don't know that.
Don't know that.
Right.
But this was unusual that all of a sudden he was going there to do this. Was there ever a feeling that he had been ambushed, that it was a setup, that he was sent there in order to be struck over the head with this?
Well, that's a theory that we could, definitely look into, and it's come up. Again, this wasn't unusual for him to go to homes. Between that, him being struck and the comments that he made, two males, it does seem like that obviously something nefarious was happening when he got sent there.
Right. Now, What role did the contractor play? Was he investigated? Was he questioned? And what did he have to say?
Well, again, he lived with the Gays. We were told that he stayed there so he wouldn't have to travel so much. He lived in Virginia Beach, and he stayed with the Gays a couple times a week, from our understanding.
Was Mr. Gay's wife a suspect? And I understand from the notes that there may have been some type of a love triangle in this particular case.
That is what we were told by people that we interviewed, and nothing was ever, for lack of a better term, caught anyone in the act. But we had some witnesses that we spoke to during the course of this investigation felt like that the contractor and Mrs. Gay were in a relationship. They both denied the relationship.
Right. What did the 14-year-old son at the time say about that relationship?
He did not say anything about that relationship.
Was he asked about it?
He was not.
He was not asked about it. Did the 14-year-old provide any information that might have been useful?
Well, he's the one that found his dad. So him and his mom had been Christmas shopping in Newport News that day.
And he was 14 at the time.
Yes.
And he found his dad.
He did.
That must have been devastating for him.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, again, he came home from shopping with his mom, expecting that his dad would be home. His dad wasn't. Where they lived was just across the street from where Mr. Gay was located in this new construction home. His son got on his bicycle and rode over there, saw his dad's truck, and went up and saw that his dad was kind of slumping over in the truck. He couldn't understand what his dad was saying. He was, incoherent again. The son flagged down a security officer from Stonehouse, who then called 911.
And to show you this picture, so he is attacked and then makes his way to the truck.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
So he was able to walk and to get into the truck. And then what happened after that? Son finds him, calls, police are called.
Right. Son finds him.
You're the
flags-
first guy on the scene.
I'm the first guy on the scene. He's still in the truck. I talked to him, tried to get something from him, but very incoherent. We got the two males. That was the only thing that I could make out from that. Then he was transported to Williamsburg Community Hospital.
And for the record, you have not been able to find the two males, know who the two males are. Nothing happened at the time to bring some type of information forward.
No, we had gotten information, throughout the investigation. Again, new construction homes, a lot of new construction going on up there at the time. There had been, complaints or reports of construction equipment being stolen from homes, things of that nature. Things that you find during these new construction homes, especially in large subdivisions where there's a lot of construction going on.
What happened with the contractor and the family after this happened? Parted ways?
Yes, to my knowledge, they did part ways. That's kind of where it gets a little grainy for us. Our case kind of hit a roadblock around 2008. So
Where did contractor go after that? Let me read a sentence.
Okay.
The contractor Gay worked for and was staying with the Gay and his wife and children. How many children did he have?
they had 3. There were 2 daughters, and I cannot remember their ages, that were also at the home.
Okay.
Now, this was Mr. Gay and Mrs. Gay. He had a son from a previous marriage too, but
Was this the 14-year-old or was this the one that he had with?
no, this was a 14-year-old that he had with his wife at the time.
Okay. And there were suspicions the contractor and Gay's wife were having an affair. And once again, just to establish that, what was the suspicion? What established the suspicion?
Well, the suspicion was we had talked to some people during our canvass. One of the subjects that we talked to felt like, based on their intuition, that there was something going on between the contractor and Mrs. Gay.
Anything in particular?
Nothing in particular. It was just an intuition thing, which, as you know, we're both, well-traveled people. A woman's intuition goes a long way. But that was what she told us, that she just felt like it was her intuition. We did ask Mrs. Gay about any type of relationship. She denied it. At one point, she did tell us that there was no contact between her and the contractor. However, during that time frame, the 21st. So once we got phone records, we saw that there was contact between her and the contractor the 21st and the 22nd.
So that there was contact between them. Mm-hmm. And what about that contact?
Well, it was phone contact. We don't know what was said.
But she had said she had no contact
she
with
did.
him, and that was not true. That was a lie.
Based on what we found out, yes.
And you pointed it out to her. That's not true, ma'am. That's not true. What happened? How was her response to that?
She couldn't. She didn't have a response.
Did you feel that made her look more guilty?
Sure. Now, also understand something. I wasn't the investigator with this, so I can only base it on what.
But you were first on the scene.
I was first on the scene. Now, I didn't find that information out. That was, later on once the investigator that had that case went through it.
Okay. This is a cold case. It did not involve a homicide.
It did not.
It was malicious wounding. And it happened 22 years ago on December 21st coming up. So coming up next inside the investigation, I want to ask you about the frustration that a police department has all these years later. I mean, this is the first guy on the scene when it happened. And we will ask him about the frustration of the not knowing and not being able to solve it. And hopefully appearing here might help. We'll be back with Inside the Investigation right after this. And welcome back, everyone. The case of Richard Harrison Gay. And with me is the Assistant Chief, James City County, Steve Humphreys, who has been, involved in this case, although they're not the chief investigator, but 22 years coming up in December. Before we get to the frustration of not knowing and not being able to solve it, I was given a copy of the obituary, and it says he is survived by his beloved wife, Mary Blake, beloved wife of 23 years. Here's the question about that. After the attack that took place December 21st, 2004, what became of their marriage? Did they stay together? Now, remember, he's in a kind of, I don't want to say comatose state, but he is in a state that he is unable to assist in the investigation. Fair?
Right. He can't assist in the investigation, nor, he has to be cared for.
So what happens after this attack? After the thought that there might be some type of a love affair with this contractor, what happens to them at that point?
As far as we know, they stayed together. Mr. Gay was kind of in and out of hospitals or rehabilitation centers. He would spend some time at home, but then he would go into a rehab center for care. At some point, they ended up back in North Carolina.
Now, what would eventually be his cause of death?
That's undetermined.
Should we not know that now? What was the cause? Did that have any? And I had asked you earlier if it had anything to do with this malicious attack.
Yeah, what we need to determine is if an autopsy was completed in North Carolina and what results from that autopsy are.
Mm-hmm. And that's part of how this investigation continues, and that's one of the reasons why you've come here.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Now, you always look at the family first. So they started looking at the wife, Blake.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying that you asked her to come in for a polygraph to find out what she might be able to tell you about it. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so originally the lead investigator asked her if she would submit to a polygraph, and she said that she would. He told her that he would call back with a time for that. And then when that time came, she changed her mind, did not want to do it.
Did she give a reason?
She did not.
Does she need to give a reason?
She does not. We can't compel anyone to take a polygraph, as you know.
But here's what we know. She was untruthful in the phone calls.
Correct.
Okay. Then she says, I'll do the polygraph. Then she decides not to. Then the son takes in dad, right? And takes care of him. Is that correct?
The older
And
son,
she
yes.
goes to North Carolina, or does the son also take him to North Carolina?
So the son that took him in is a son from his previous marriage. And he begins caring for him at some point in North Carolina. And this is also part of the investigation.
So he takes him back to North Carolina.
That's our understanding, yes.
And she goes back to North Carolina.
She's in North Carolina as well.
but separate.
Well, we're not 100% sure on that.
And we don't know if they got divorced or anything like that.
No.
Of course, remember, he's in
Somewhat of
a medical condition that he can't help in the investigation.
correct.
So he's been really damaged by this attack.
Yes, he has. And, I think one of the reasons that the son took him in was because Mrs. Gay was convicted of some felony charges in North Carolina. We're not sure what those are, but she did spend some time in the Halifax, North Carolina area in jail.
But we don't know why. But when you read his survivors include his beloved wife of 23 years, what did you think about that?
Oh,
Assistant Chief of James City County.
it was just odd, because of what we felt may have happened. So yeah, it was odd.
Okay, fair enough. The frustration of after all these years, it's going to be 22 years, December 21st of this year. It's going to be
Correct.
22 years. What is your frustration that you don't know?
Well, obviously, with any case, you want to, the goal is to find out who did it. And, we've hit some walls.
Walls that seem may have been put up by the family.
Yes. So we just want to get to the bottom of it and find out what happened. I mean, again, like I mentioned earlier, to me, this case is somewhat personal because I was a first responding officer back when I worked, patrol. So I'd definitely like to get some closure for this, but also for the family as well. I mean, whenever we talk about cold cases, one of the things that we want to do is get that closure for the family. And he has children.
Any children reaching out to you say, hey, how's the investigation going?
We have not had
Assistant
that.
Chief?
No.
No one's called. No one's called. No.
No one's called, but
And obviously
hopefully
she hasn't called. Do we know where, is she still alive? That you know?
unsure, but we're working on that now. And hopefully with this being out there, if anybody remembers anything from that, we'll,
Yeah, we have the number right here. If we can put that number up. If you know anything, call this number, 188-LOCK-YOU-UP, 253-1800. And we appreciate all this information about Richard Harrison Gay. Thank you very much, Assistant Chief of James City County, Steve Humphreys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Real quick, we got like maybe 20 seconds.
Okay.
What are the things you don't know that you wish you knew right now?
I don't know, if there were two men there. He mentioned that. Don't know. I would like to know more about the contractor. So those are a few things that we would like to know.
Steve Humphreys, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate James City County so much.
Thank you.
This has established a great friendship now, and we've had James City County in before. And Patty, we thank you so much for setting this all up, and just can't thank you guys enough. And hey, the cards,
The deck.
the
Yep.
deck. Let's get some more of these cold
Let's do it.
cases out there. Okay. That's our show for today. Steve Humphreys, thank you so much for coming in, James City County. And that is this edition of Inside the Investigation. I'll see you next time. Andy Fox, 10 on your side.